I understand that I wasn't prepared for a debate of this sort with these kinds of sensitive topics at hand adequately.
Today we'll look at the tremendous career of Jon Jafari on the World Wide Web.
So, I felt bad about the incident.
And how it was almost ruined when he decided to start delving into the toxic world of online politics. But surprisingly, not only did he survive, but come out the other end stronger. And today we'll be discussing the perseverance of Jontron. Before being an online star, Jontron was just another kid growing up in the ever-changing internet of the 2000s. He began his online career on the website Newgrounds in 2005 under the name Birdman XC6. Here he posted short animations featuring his Cartoon Onion characters. While there were people who enjoyed these videos, it wouldn't be until Jon started uploading to YouTube that he would see a real success. He created his channel called Jontron Show in August of 2010 and posted his first video, a review of the game Daikatana, later that same month. Jon's early content was clearly inspired by the likes of Angry Video Game Nerd and Nostalgia Critic, both of whom were huge names in the online review genre at the time. While many novice creators were attempting to copy their style, Jafari stood out from the crowd by having competent editing, a good screen presence, and understanding how to present his opinions and information in an engaging manner. These may seem like basic traits for an entertainer, but at the time they were enough to put Jontron on the map in the video game YouTube scene. As he rose through the ranks and made a name for himself, Jon also began meeting people who would become his friends for years to come. One of the most notable of these new online acquaintances was Austin Hargrave, aka Peanut Butter Gamer, whom Jon had met while posting content for the website Screw Attack. The two quickly hit it off, and soon partnered to create NormalBoots.com later in 2010 as a means of pooling their popularity. As the years went on, the site expanded to include creators such as The Completionist, ProJared, Did You Know Gaming, and more. This was another common trend on YouTube at the time, with creators coming together to combat copyright strikes and create stronger brand recognition amongst their audiences. Despite the site's lack of relevance these days, Normal Boots was once a titan of the YouTube gaming genre. A couple years later in 2012, Jon partnered with his friend and fellow Newgrounds animator Aaron Egoraptor Hansen to create the channel Game Grumps.
Hey there, do you like meat? Probably not. That's okay. Anyways, I'm starting a new channel. It's called Game Grumps, but hey, I couldn't do it alone. I also got my pal, Egoraptor!
The premise of the show was simple. The two creators would play video games while riffing and making jokes. The duo's chemistry clearly resonated with viewers, and the channel rapidly skyrocketed in subscribers, contributing to the golden age of the Let's Play genre on YouTube. They also hired Jon's high school friend Barry Kramer to edit the videos. Jontron's growth was something almost completely unprecedented. Starting from reviewing video games in his parents' house, he had created multiple successful brands in just 2 short years. However, there were some problems beginning to emerge. While Game Grumps was promoted as a secondary project to complement Jontron, videos on his main channel became non-existent as the joint venture took off. And even with his new collaborative effort, it seemed as though not everything was going smoothly behind the scenes. In June of 2013, just a year after the channel's creation, Jon announced that he would be leaving Game Grumps. While the official reason given was that he simply wanted to focus on his own channel, many were dubious of that claim, leading to a Game Grumps conspiracy in the community. For one, the video in which Jon made this announcement was very odd, as he recorded his segment separately from the rest of the team. Secondly, there were many rumors circulating around of drama between the two hosts, with theories ranging from drunken arguments to physical assault. This was not helped by the fact that Jon and his girlfriend at the time, Nicole, would frequently stir the pot of online speculation. All of this was discussed in a previous video on the channel with the thumbnail you might recognize. Whatever disagreements the Grumps may have had though, it seems to have been settled in the following years after Aaron made a cameo appearance in Jon's Starcade video series. That being said, it would appear that the bad blood between the former pair had not completely subsided. In 2021, when Aaron's new Game Grumps co-host Dan Avidan was facing accusations of grooming a fan, Jon joked on Twitter about returning returning to the channel. While nobody knows for certain what caused the rift between Grump and Not So Grump, as time went on, some began to wonder if it was at least partially due to a political disagreement. In the years that followed, Jafari would become more vocal about his political opinions. This started small when he responded to a tweet from game developer Tim Schafer about a video by Anita Sarkeesian. While Schafer sided with the feminist YouTuber's point that women were often unfairly sexualized in video games, Jon disagreed, stating that both genders were objectified. The conversation ended with Jafari frustratedly claiming that Sarkeesian supporters were not interested in having a real conversation about the topic, choosing instead to dogpile and harass anyone who disagreed. In addition to this, he also frequently used language that people would consider politically incorrect. This happened around the beginning of Gamergate, which led many to wonder if Jontron was quietly voicing his support for the movement. In response, he posted a Vine giving his thoughts on the matter.
He's anti-Gamergate? He's pro-Gamergate? Maybe he just doesn't know what it is, doesn't give a f***, you know what I'm saying?
It was clear from occasional blurbs on social media and podcasts that Jon had opinions about subjects other than video games, but for the most part he held his tongue. Though as the years went on and he spent more and more time getting sucked into the online political discourse, this came to a head. The public red-pilling began in January of 2017 when Jon appeared on a live stream with prominent anti-SJW YouTuber Sargon of Akkad in order to discuss their shared annoyance with people on the political left.
Basically, but the people who are going against the SJWs, they didn't go and find them. The SJWs burst in and were like, right, everyone's a racist. You all hate women.
Oh, no, you're so right about that. I mean, all the people, like myself included, I would, if you consider, considering me in that camp.
Jafari's main point of frustration came from the increasing levels of social justice rhetoric being spread online. How many of their supporters viewed every issue as either good or bad with no room for nuance, and how white men as a whole were often the ones being vilified in these conversations. During this discussion, Jon and Sargon also talked about their belief that the left was unable to criticize foreign cultures out of fear of being called racist, even if the practices of those cultures would be considered criminal by Western standards. While many were quick to criticize this situation, others pointed out the fact that Jon was of Middle Eastern descent himself. After this, Jontron only became more brazen about his opinions, posting multiple tweets trying to get under the skin of feminists and SJWs. On March 12, 2017, Representative Steve King tweeted out a statement against immigration, saying, quote, "We can't restore our civilization with someone else's babies." While many lambasted the congressman for this, Jon voiced his support later that day. Wow, how scandalous. Steve King doesn't want his country invaded by people who have contempt for his culture and people. Nazi. This resulted in both King and Jafari being labeled nationalists by critics. This commotion soon caught the attention of left-wing Twitch streamer Destiny, who invited Jon onto his show the following day for a live debate. When the stream started, it was clear to everyone that the video game reviewer was unprepared. Even the people who supported him admitted that he came off poorly, constantly sounding unsure of himself and never being able to back up any of his statements with statistics. While the entire debate was widely viewed as a train wreck, there was one soundbite in particular that caught people's attention.
Okay, so do you think that poor blacks probably commit more crime relative to wealthier black people?
They do. Wealthy blacks also commit more crime than poor whites. That's a fact.
Wait, what?
Yeah, look it up. Give me a sec, I gotta get water.
This statement spread like wildfire, with many onlookers using it as proof that Jontron was a racist. Even those who didn't agree with that statement had to admit that it was at the very least an incredibly poor worded sentence. Jon himself also felt this way, posting a response a few days later to clarify what he meant.
I was trying to speak to the increasing tribalization of our culture. These days we're taught to think in explicitly racial or ethnic categories or in terms of gender or sexual orientation, and I think this in itself plays a big hand in what's gotten our country to the volatile state that it's in. The simple point I was trying to make is that it's hypocritical for those who see everything in terms of race to suddenly turn around and object when white people speak up in what they believe are the best interests of their race.
Jon concluded this video by saying that he would be going back to focus on comedy rather than politics, though many thought it was too late. At the time, this debate seemed like it would have disastrous long-term consequences for Jafari's career. The voice lines he had recorded for the then upcoming game Yooka-Laylee were removed, and shortly after that it was announced that Jon would be stepping down from his role at Normal Boots. The official reason given was that, as his content drifted further away from the subject of video games, the team felt he no longer fit with the rest of the channels on the site. This was truly the end of an era. Not only did he leave Game Grumps, but now Normal Boots, one of his first endeavors. However, this drama would ultimately prove not to be the career ender it would seem on the surface, thanks to one as-seen-on-TV item. You see, just a few months after his live stream with Destiny, Jon uploaded a video titled "Waterproofing My Life with Flex Tape," in which he mocked the titular product. Jon's videos always got good views, but this one extended far beyond his already large audience. Something about it resonated with people across the internet, causing it to gain a whopping 70 million views over its lifetime. The success of this upload even got the attention of Flex Tape's spokesman Phil Swift, who later collabed with Jon on a follow-up video. For a while after this, Jon rode this new level of fame, and it seemed as though he learned his lesson about discussing politics on the internet. That being said though, just like an addict who has maintained sobriety for a few years, all it takes is one trigger to cause a relapse. This brings us to November of 2020. In the midst of the highly contentious US presidential election, the online comedian posted a tweet seeming to imply that he felt the United States was a banana republic. While this was a much more subtle statement than he had made previously, it was still enough to cause another stir, albeit to a much lesser extent than 2017. Still, people took the opportunity to call Jon a nationalist and a racist, including former friends such as fellow old-school Newgrounds animator Johnny Utah. While this brief foray back into politics was upsetting to many, it was covered in enough layers of irony to avoid ruffling too many feathers. The same cannot be said for the next event of this nature. In October of 2021, Jon published a tweet critical of Anthony Fauci with the caption, "Just trust the science, bro." Attached to this post were several screenshots of news articles accusing the doctor and his team of performing torturous experiments on beagle puppies. This once more sparked outrage from people accusing Jontron of being anti-science, including Johnny Utah again. This seemed to be a subject that the YouTube star was especially passionate about, as he engaged in many heated arguments in the replies. He even posted more news article screenshots alleging that the National Institute of Health had a hand in creating a more contagious strain of the virus. While this incident once again caused many to question Jontron's political leanings, he simply went back to making his videos without consequence. A year later, on July 16th, 2022, Jon appeared in a collab on the YouTuber Internet Historian's second channel. The video itself had nothing to do with politics, with the two simply riffing comedically on futuristic technology. However, people on Twitter still responded to it angrily, criticizing Historian for platforming someone they considered to be a bigot. They even began pulling up any dirt they could find on Internet Historian, using an old video he had made documenting some of the more ludicrous stories from the pandemic as proof that he was also an alt-right virus denier. Unlike last time, neither of the two men responded to the criticism, so it subsided yet again. But it just served as another example of how controversial Jontron still remained. Recently, Jon has made no further big public political statements. While he's burned many bridges over the course of his time on the internet, he still seems to be on good terms with many of his old friends from the Normal Boots days. And most importantly, his channel still maintains a stable view count of several million hits per upload. No matter how many more controversies he may become embroiled in, it seems as though Jontron's fanbase is loyal enough that he won't be going anywhere anytime soon. So there you have the story of how Jontron persevered over the past decade. And it just goes to show that if you run an apolitical YouTube channel, it's probably best to stay out of controversial subjects. And with that, I think I'll end the video here. So until next time, thanks for watching.